Announcing to the excited crowd, the presenter confirms that the 32nd international competition has reached its climax. Showcasing the two finalists, the title fight is between a seasoned veteran and an extremely talented newcomer. Suddenly, the commentator's expression changes to pure shock, as if something impossible happened. Looking to the side, she realizes the unbelievable. The player who was supposed to be competing was sleeping during the entire game. Being woken up by the scream of his name, our boy finally opens his eyes and rubs his face, still confused. Seeing that he slept for an hour, our prota notices that his progress in the game is only 30%. But with a confident smile, the kid states that it wasn't bad at all, as the system's difficulty has already been controlled by him. Starting to play at an absurd speed, our little protege leaves the narrator's jaw dropping with his operation. Completely shocked, she explains that according to legend, there is only a 1 in 100 million chance of a superbug appearing. Activating this very rare event, our boy's character starts decimating monsters, and the completion percentage skyrockets. Reaching 100% in the blink of an eye, the kid takes the crown and completes the game. Celebrating amid a shower of confetti, the presenter raises the champion's hand and declares Chuni as the big winner. Interviewing the new champion, she asks if he, the winner of the hardest game of all time, has anything to say. Taking the microphone, our prota says bluntly that the game's difficulty is very low, not as difficult as it seems. Concluding the humiliation, the kid still says that it was simple enough to make him sleepy, questioning whether today's developers don't know how to make interesting games. Leaving the stage, our boy hears the comments from the audience, calling him a gaming god for finishing in 40 minutes. Arriving in his room, our prota throws himself straight onto the bed, exhausted and just sighs. Thinking to himself, the kid reveals that he has no interest in the title, he just wants to play really interesting games. Without finding any game that challenges him, our little creature simply closes his eyes and decides to go to sleep. Unexpectedly, a bright light appears in the darkness, displaying an interface with your name on level 1. Soon after, a loading bar appears in front of you and completes itself in a matter of seconds. Waking up suddenly, our boy feels a severe headache, without understanding anything that happened. Looking at his body, strange and glowing symbols appear floating, leaving him even more confused. But when he lifts his head, the prota sees the numbers 0612 on the wall and wonders what that means. With a snap, reality seems to break, and the kid's expression changes to one of pure concentration. In front of him, a new user login screen appears, looking like a slot machine and offering a reward. Curious about that mechanism, his hand grabs the lever, wondering if this is some kind of prank. Pulling hard, the machine's wheels begin to rotate at high speed, shuffling all the symbols. To your complete surprise, the reels stop and reveal 3 identical figures, which look a lot like tampon packets. Materializing in his hands, a shiny reward appears, and the boy doesn't understand what kind of big prize it is. Upon receiving the prize, the interface congratulates you for getting 3 sticky notes, which look like sanitary pads. Totally confused by the item, our boy feels a strange sense of déjà vu, as if he has seen it before. Analyzing the reward, a screen explains the effect. When placed on a target, the object becomes invisible to the user for 10 minutes. Realizing that the item is real, our prota finally realizes that it has somehow entered the game world. Deciding to test what he just won, the kid prepares to activate one of the sticky notes. Immediately, a screen with player information appears in front of you, showing their status and items. Trying to connect with the real world, he calls his parents and even an old flame, but all the numbers aren't available. Desperate, his last attempt is to call the police, but the result is the same, making him wonder who trapped him there. Out of nowhere, an E-grade discovery mission appears, indicating that something unusual is happening underground in a factory. Looking at the details of the quest, the task is very simple. Go to the location and investigate the situation. Accepting his fate, the veteran player decides to take it seriously, as he doesn't know the price of failure. Focusing on your objective, a targeting system is activated in your eyes, marking the exact location of the mission. Arriving at the indicated location, our boy comes across a building that appears to be the factory from his first quest. Reflecting on the situation, he realizes that he has nothing to protect himself other than the sticky notes, so entering recklessly is dangerous. In this moment of distraction, a dog tied up nearby starts barking, scaring our little puppy. Having a crazy idea, our boy smiles sinisterly, coming up with a plan to test his new item. By sticking the sticky note on the dog, the animal becomes completely confused, as it can no longer see it. Realizing that the item is really useful, our prota approaches the factory, although he finds it a bit troublesome to have to stick the sticker on others. Entering the dark place, he uses a flashlight he brought to light the way, wondering if that corridor was already the end. But when you reach the end, your eyes widen in pure shock at the scene you find inside. Tied to a pillar, a girl in a maid outfit is trapped and appears to be in trouble. Without thinking twice, our boy reaches out, determined that he needs to save that person at any cost. However, a strange feeling hits him just in time, making him stop as he feels that something is very wrong. Reasoning like a game developer, the kid hides behind a pillar, predicting that there would definitely be enemies nearby. Analyzing the situation from above, he understands that if the girl made noise during the rescue, it would attract whoever arrested her and increase the difficulty of the mission. And his caution proves correct when the girl turns out to be a trap, attacking our proto with red eyes and a gun in her hand. At that exact moment, our little protege wakes up screaming in his bed, feeling an unbearable headache. Looking around desperately, he realizes he's still in his room, surrounded by his game posters. Questioning whether it was all a dream, the sensation was too real, leaving the kid confused as to whether he had returned to the real world. Until looking at his own bed, he sees the 3 sticky notes right there, proving that it wasn't all a dream. Seeing the 3/3 symbols floating around, our boy realizes he has a limited number of chances. And with a frightened look, the number changes to 2, confirming that he has indeed lost one of his lives. At this point, the abandoned factory mission interface reappears, showing the location of 2 targets on the map. Understanding the terrible truth, the proto finally realizes that he is still trapped inside the game. Sitting up in bed, our boy wonders out loud if he just died in that surprise attack. Checking the date in the system, the kid confirms that that is the exact moment he entered the game world. Then, with the penny dropping, he questions whether what happened was a respawn, just like in the games. Touching your neck, the number 2 of 3 glows, indicating that is the counter of your total lives. Thinking about what could happen, he imagines that if he doesn't complete the mission safely, the game could simply be over for him. Trying to remember what happened, our little thing doesn't even remember how he died, just that his neck was cut by someone very strong. Hitting himself in the head in frustration, he insists that because it's a game world, there must be something he's missing. Suddenly, the doorbell to your apartment rings, interrupting your thoughts and leaving you on alert. Getting up a little suspiciously, our boy walks to the door and asks who is on the other side. Opening the door, he comes face to face with a cute blonde girl, who he recognizes as his deadbeat neighbor. Seeing the girl up close, he realizes that if real characters appear, then that world has some connection with reality. With a cute face, the neighbor asks if our boy can lend her another 500 yuan. Agreeing without hesitation, our proto says it's okay, as he still has plenty of prize money from the last game. Quickly, the boy takes his cell phone and transfers it to the girl's cell phone at the same time. Thanking him very much, the girl is super happy and promises that she will pay him back at the end of the month. Seeing the neighbor walk away bouncing, our little protege finally understands that this was the clue he didn't find the first time. Then, a heart icon with +10 favorability magically appears on her back. Completely shocked, the kid screams when he realizes that there's a favorability system, like in a dating simulator. Desperate, our boy regrets being terrible at this type of game, as women will only affect his speed to reset. But the discovery mission screen appears again, making him focus on what really matters. Having decided, the proto decides to go to the abandoned factory once again to try to complete the quest. Following the system map, our little protege arrives again at the same ruined building as the previous time. With much more care, the kid advances step by step towards his goal, analyzing everything. Arriving at the same place as before, he finds the girl with red hair tied to the pillar, exactly as in his vision. Knowing that he lost his life there, our boy concentrates on finding out what it was that he didn't find. Then, a black heart of favor appears over the girl and a new mission to rescue the hostage appears in front of her. Confirming that the new mission has been activated, our boy approaches the hostage and cautiously asks if she is okay. Suddenly, the black heart of favor that was over the girl disappears, leaving the proto intrigued by it. Untying the girl's ropes, the kid looks a little embarrassed, as she looks up and says she's fine. Starting to cry, the girl introduces herself as Yezin and says that she was kidnapped by 2 men, but cannot remember the rest. Processing the information, our boy understands that there are at least 2 enemies nearby and that it will be difficult to deal with them without weapons. By having an ace up his sleeve, the proto grabs one of his sticky notes, planning to sneak the hostage out. But without any warning, Yezin screams when he sees something on the ground and grabs hold of it, leaving our little protege terrified. Seeing 2 bizarre rats with red eyes, the girl goes into complete panic, making them both scream together and attract attention. And with all this noise, footsteps are heard coming from the stairs, and the shadow of someone at the door makes the kid desperate. Realizing what a mess she's done, the hostage apologizes as she clings to him, leaving our boy completely furious at her dishonesty. Immediately, a bright light illuminates the entrance and a man shouts asking who is there, increasing the tension even more. Acting quickly, the kid pulls Yezin behind a pillar, while she stammers that it wasn't her intention. Covering the girl's mouth, our little protege makes a silent sign to ensure that she doesn't make any more sounds. Giving a direct order, he tells her not to say anything, just nod her head if she understands the message. However, noticing that Yezin is still on top of him, our boy awkwardly asks her to get out first so they can move. Regretting that he no longer has his stealth notes, our boy thinks about treating the situation like an assassin game, taking advantage of blind spots. Then seeing a perfect blind spot in the corner, our proto locates a large chest that can serve as a hiding place. Acting quickly, he pulls the girl by the hand and guides her in silence to hide together in the place. At that exact moment, the 2 kidnappers finally arrive in the room, shining a flashlight around the place as they search for them. Noticing the empty pillar with the ropes cut, one of the guys screams in panic that the woman managed to escape. Complaining to his partner, the man says that he had already warned her, not to take that woman hostage because there was something wrong with her. Meanwhile, hidden inside the trunk, our boy regrets the situation, as he thought he was just one Emmy and not two. But out of nowhere, the girl gets scared and grabs him with absurd strength, throwing herself on top of him. Totally embarrassed by the tight hug, our little protege asks her to calm down, as she doesn't need to hold him so tightly. Feeling that he is being suffocated, the kid tries to move away and ends up hitting his elbow on the side of the trunk, making a noise. Alerted by the sudden sound, the two kidnappers turn towards the trunk and shout, asking who was there. Freezing in fear, our boy quickly covers the girl's mouth and his own, trying to maintain as much silence as possible. Slowly approaching the chest, one of the men demands that whoever is there shows themselves immediately. Cornered and with no way out, our prota despairs because although he is good at fighting games, facing someone in real life is another story. But when all seem lost, one of the giant rats appears under the trunk, distracting the two men and giving them a chance to escape. Seeing that it is just a mouse, the kidnappers relax and conclude that the woman ran away a long time ago. Telling your partner to go ahead to get some things, the other stays behind, separating themselves from the group. Taking advantage of the gap, our boy carefully opens the trunk lid so they can finally get out of there. Coming out of hiding, our little creature breathes a sigh of relief, and mentally thanks the little mouse who saved them. Jumping out immediately, the girl confirms that there is no one else around, giving the go-ahead to leave. But before going, the kid bends down to pick up the sticky notes that fell on the floor, because he couldn't forget that. Ready to escape, our prota calls the girl to leave that place once and for all. But suddenly, the girl holds his arm tightly, preventing him from continuing to walk. Pointing to the item in his hand, Yizhen asks what it is, leaving our boy completely embarrassed. Trying to hide his shame, the kid says that it's a band-aid, but she questions why he would take that while escaping. Making up a lame excuse, our little protege says it was because he scratched his arm, making the girl even more suspicious. Changing the subject quickly, he says they need to leave soon before the two guys go back upstairs. Even with little hesitation, the girl understands the urgency and gets ready to run with him. Running out of the factory, the two finally reach a grassy field and celebrate being safe. Finally, with time to breathe, our boy turns to the girl and asks what her name was, as he didn't have time to ask before. Introducing himself with a smile and a wink, our boy says his name is Yi, but the girl finds his name strange, leaving our prota a little offended by the tone she used to speak to her savior. Introducing herself back, the girl takes his hand and says her name is Yeezy, the Knight of the Dark Night. Finding the girl a bit strange and too calm for someone who was kidnapped, our little protege is relieved that the mission is over. However, to his surprise, the hostage rescue mission screen still appears as incomplete, leaving him confused about what to do. Approaching him, Yezin asks why he is there, and if he happens to be a police officer. Giving an awkward laugh, the kid opens his arms and asks if he really looks like a cop to her. Getting very close, the girl smells him and says no, as he has a special smell that is not the same as the police. Completely embarrassed, our boy walks away and asks where her house is so he can take her to safety. But the girl screams desperately that she doesn't want to go home at all. Complaining angrily, Yezin says she doesn't want to go because her house is too boring, leaving our prota in the dark. With a seductive look, she says that with him around things would be much more fun. Trying to remain calm, our little protege concentrates on not falling for her trap and focusing on finishing the mission first. Giving an ultimatum, Chuni says that if she doesn't go home, he will have to take her to the police, leaving the girl angry. Seeing that she has no choice, the girl then suggests that they go back to his house, making our boy celebrate the success of his plan. Taking the girl to her supposed home, our boy comes across a gigantic mansion, leaving his jaw drop. Completely shocked, our prota asks if she really lives in a place like that, while Yizhen just looks confused. Pointing to her clothes, the boy asks if she is an employee there, but the girl replies that it is just a hobby. With a seductive smile, the girl invites you in, saying that she is the only person in the house at the moment. Refusing the offer right away, our boy calls her close, as if he was going to deliver something important. Handing her a piece of paper with her phone number, the prota tells her to call that number if she is in danger. Saying that he has something else to do, our little protege says goodbye and leaves, leaving the girl behind at the gate. Watching him walk away, Yezin comments with a smile that Chuni doesn't seem to be as bad as she thought. Without understanding anything she is saying, the kid has a confused expression, just looking at her. Finding everything very strange, our prota wonders why the rescue mission is not complete if the hostage is already at home. Remembering the kidnappers' conversation, he wonders if the things they were looking for could be other hostages. Concluding that there are two remaining mysteries, the first is how many hostages are still missing, and the second is how he died the first time. Deciding to go home and rest, our boy also wants to take the opportunity to see if there are any new login rewards available. Watching him truly leave, Yezin clicks her tongue with a less than happy expression, clearly irritated by the situation. Turning her back, the girl reveals her true nature by materializing a shiny knife in her hand, showing that she is not who she appears to be. Determined to solve the mysteries, our boy returns to the abandoned factory once again. However, when we got there, the building was already completely empty, with no kidnappers or hostages nearby. Investigating further, our prota opens a door he hadn't seen before, hoping to find some clue. Behind the door, a terrible scene awaits, a pile of bones and a dark puddle on the floor. Running to the nearest bathroom, the sight was so disturbing that our little baby ended up feeling sick. Wiping his face and breaking into a cold sweat, he realizes that perhaps he overestimated himself too much for that game. Completely exhausted and scared, the kid comes home and simply passes out on the bed as soon as he gets into bed. Waking up the next day, your cell phone shows that it is already 9 in the morning on the 25th of May. Sitting up in bed, our boy looks at his cell phone and wonders why it's 9 in the morning again. And to your surprise, the daily login machine appears in front of you once again, now marking day 2. Understanding that the game will give him reward items every morning, he prepares to use the machine. By pulling the lever hard, the machine's reels spin at high speed, shuffling all the symbols. This time, the prize that appears is a pair of normal quality sunglasses, with the effect of being able to see characters and mission notices. Holding the new item, our proto wonders what the real use of it would be in the game. At that exact moment, while you are trying on your glasses, someone knocks on the door and calls your name. Hearing the knock on the door, our boy soon imagines that it is his neighbor, Yankeke, coming to ask for money again. But looking through the lenses of the glasses, our proto notices something incredible, managing to see the person's silhouette through the door. Seeing that the girl was actually going to ask for another 500 yuan, our little protege simply ignores it and closes the door in her face. With a confident smile, the kid finally understands what it means to be able to see the characters through objects. Realizing the usefulness of the new equipment, he understands that he can now detect danger in advance, being an offensive and defensive item. Feeling that the game is finally getting interesting, our boy decides to go back to the factory, confident that he will find what he didn't see before. Arriving at the abandoned factory, he knows that wearing sunglasses in the dark seems stupid, but it's all for his safety. And his plan works, because when he looks at the door, he can see the silhouette of 2 people sitting inside. Trying to calm down, our proto takes a deep breath and remembers that, just like in the movies, he still has the sticky notes to save his life. Taking courage, the kid suddenly invades the room, pointing his fingers like a gun and shouting at them not to move. However, his expression of confidence immediately disappears when he sees the real scene that was happening there. Inside the room, 2 young men are bound and gagged on the floor, on top of a strange red sacrificial circle. Recognizing the same scene from yesterday, he wonders if this is some kind of bizarre cult ceremony. But before he could think any further, a sudden noise draws his attention downstairs. Looking down at the lower level, the boy realizes that there are still more hostages, seeing several silhouettes scattered across the dark floor. Deciding to be more cautious, our boy decides to leave first, as a hero doesn't act without a plan. But when he turns around, he hears a scream and sees a muscular man being brutally thrown against the wall. Running to see what happened, our protagonist finds the man lying on the ground, his face completely disfigured. Suddenly, a familiar figure emerges from the dust, with a knife in his hand and a deadly look in his eyes. Standing on top of several bodies, the figure reveals itself, shocking our boy with its true identity. Taking off his glasses to be sure, the kid can hardly believe what he is seeing in front of him. With a cold and calculating look, the red-haired girl stares at him, revealing herself to be the real threat. Seeing Yizhen with the bloody knife in his hand, the proto is paralyzed, not understanding what is happening. Confused, our boy wonders how the girl he saved yesterday could be there doing that. Responding with a cynical smile, Yizhen says he's coming, as if he's been waiting for him. Stuttering with fear, the kid asks what she is doing there, still unable to process the situation. Calling him an idiot, the girl asks if he can't see what's happening right in front of him. With a nervous smile, our little protege says she understands, but can't believe that a skinny girl like her defeated so many bad guys. Changing her expression to a scary one, Yizhen says that now she will have to bother him to die with her. Advancing in the blink of an eye, the girl attacks him with the knife, taking our boy completely by surprise. Seeing the attack coming towards him, our boy is shocked by the girl's speed. But with a malicious smile, the kid decides to risk his life to get information and fight back next time. Acting faster than she expected, our proto grabs Yizhen's wrist, stopping the knife inches from her neck. Without being fazed in the slightest, the killer disdainfully asks if he has anything more interesting to show. In a cold sweat, our boy asks her to take the dagger away, saying he is a little nervous about the situation. Giving him just 3 seconds, the girl presses down on the blade, making the number of lives on her neck glow. Then showing one of his sticky notes, he asks if she can see what that is in his hand. Taking advantage of the slightest distraction, our little protege sticks the sticker on her arm before she can react. Losing sight of him completely, the killer becomes confused and wonders where that person went. With a victorious smile, the kid celebrates her carelessness, because now Yizhen shouldn't be able to see him anymore. Planning to escape to safety, he realizes this is the perfect chance to rescue the 2 hostages and complete the mission. But to his utter astonishment, the girl turns around and stabs him from behind as if the invisibility hadn't worked. Without showing any emotion, the killer just asks if that was all, if he had anything else to show. Lying on the floor and not understanding anything, our boy wonders how Yizhen managed to see him, even with the sticky note. Wondering if the item failed or if she has some special ability, panic takes over her expression. Pressing the knife against his back, the killer asks if he has any hearing problems and if he has any other interesting tricks. Responding that maybe there is, our boy tries to buy time, but Yizhen simply tells him to show it soon. Stuttering and in a cold sweat, the kid says he doesn't have anything now, but if he has time, he certainly will. With a clear expression of boredom, the girl shows that she is not at all impressed with his excuse. Then saying that since he has nothing else interesting, she simply takes his glasses back. Whispering seductively, the killer says she's going to have some fun with him, leaving our prota confused. Explaining that it's the kind of fun between men and women, Yezin grabs him tightly, making our boy blush instantly. Totally embarrassed by the situation, our little protege has his heart racing, wondering if that's what he's thinking. Revealing her secret, the girl explains that he has a unique and delicious smell, and that was how she identified him, even when he was invisible. Shocked by the revelation, the kid realizes that her sticky notes haven't expired, she found him by smell. Continuing with the seduction, Yezin says he has been looking for men with that smell the whole time, getting closer and closer. Suggesting that they mix their scents, the girl leaves our prota in a panic, trying to convince himself not to be deceived by her. Almost kissing our boy, the scene becomes extremely tense, with the two of them with their eyes closed and very close. But at the last second, the killer shoves something in his mouth, taking the kid completely by surprise. With his mouth covered, a system notification appears, informing him that his status is now parasitic, leaving our prota terrified. Holding a sharp object that looks like a needle, the killer prepares to do something terrible to our boy. Immediately, an unbearable pain runs through our prota's body, making him scream in agony and put his hand over his mouth. Writhing on the floor, the boy screams that his stomach is hurting a lot, without understanding the cause of that pain. Finding all that shouting annoying, the girl approaches with an expression of total contempt, tired of the noise. Pressing her foot hard on his chest, Yezin immobilizes him on the ground, leaving the prota completely unresponsive. And to silence him once and for all, the killer uses her foot to shut him up, making our little thing choke in the process. With a satisfied smile, the girl says that that's enough for today, as if it were just a fun game for her. Then, removing his foot from him, Yezin leaves him lying on the ground, completely defeated and humiliated by the situation. But suddenly the pain disappears completely, leaving our boy confused and surprised by the sudden change. Taking advantage of the boy's confusion, the killer sits on top of him and says seductively that he is now hers. Trying to get some crucial information, our prota asks which organization she belongs to. And when she asks back, our boy denies with all his might that he belongs to any kind of organization. But finding his story ridiculous, Yezin explains that the two hostages always hide in secret places, and not just anyone finds them. Continuing her argument, she says that he not only found them but came here several times, questioning how this was possible without help. Preferring to give up rather than be endlessly tortured, our little protege accepts defeat, because in games this player asks to start over. Pointing upward dismissively, our boy accepts defeat and says she can consider this a victory since he has nothing more to say. But the killer questions why he isn't begging for mercy, and the kid asks if she would let him go if he did that. With a sadistic smile, the girl explains that of course not, but that everyone else begged in fear, and he was the first to react like that. Realizing the terrible fate of everyone else, our prota's expression changes to pure horror as he understands what has happened to them. Just responding with another question and a smug smile, the killer confirms his suspicion in the worst way possible. Completely terrified by her cruelty, our boy screams in his thoughts that that woman is a demon. Finding his reaction amusing, the girl pats the kid's head and says he looks like a puppy, and that's why she's not going to finish him off this time. Still confused by the sudden change in attitude, our little protege asks who she is and why she is there. Telling her crazy story, the killer reveals that she heard about sacrifices to evil gods and let herself be kidnapped, but the game was so boring that it made her sleep. Processing the bizarre information, our boy thinks with a nervous smile that it's the kidnapper's fault for catching the wrong person. Having an epiphany, he wonders why she eliminated him the first time, since she didn't have the experience in that timeline to know who he was. Completely ignoring his existential crisis, the girl hands him a card with a QR code so he can contact her later. Giving a clear order, Yezin tells him that he will send a message in the future, and that he must respond within 10 seconds. Threatening with a devilish smile, the killer says that otherwise, she will beat him to the point where he won't be able to make a sound. Finishing the sinister conversation, the girl tells him that she has something to do, and that he better pay more attention to his cell phone before leaving. Taking one last look at our boy, the killer says with a giggle that the puppy is going to die, and then leaves. After regaining his strength, our prota releases the ropes from the two hostages and helps them leave the factory. Waving goodbye, the couple is very grateful for the help, while our boy wishes them to stay safe in the future. Immediately after their departure, a mission screen appears, congratulating you on completion and giving 500,000 in cash and another life. Seeing that the number of lives has been restored, our little protege is shocked, wondering if this means that life can be restored by completing tasks. Suddenly, a level 1 notification appears, taking the kid by surprise with the experience gain. Soon after, a screen of unlocked talents appears, making our boy wonder what kind of talents he would have to unlock. Looking at the list of attributes, the options are strength, agility, intelligence, and charm, each with their own bonuses. Thinking about which one to choose, he considers that in a survival game, strength and agility are guarantees, but intelligence also seems useful. But choosing charm plus 5, our proto decides that being pretty is the main productive force, because games aren't just about fighting. Starting to laugh maniacally, the kid gets excited about his brilliant and unconventional choice. Completely excited, he celebrates that the game is sophisticated, and that he would prefer to open a harem in a survival game. Suddenly, his hands and feet feel heavy, and his head starts to feel a little dizzy, without him understanding why. And a system notification explains that because you chose charm, your other attributes of strength, agility, and intelligence have been reduced by 1 point. Screaming in pure rage, our boy is furious at his status deduction, wondering why the game didn't warn him about this sooner. Screaming at the sky at the top of his lungs, our boy complains about what kind of system that is, completely disgusted by the deduction of his status. Arriving home completely exhausted and irritated, the kid opens the door, still mumbling about the unfairness of the game. Analyzing his new attributes, he sees that his charm has risen to 15, but everything else has dropped to 9, regretting his impulsive choice. Suddenly, a voice calls him from behind, making our proto startle when he sees that his neighbor is there. Approaching with a smile, the girl touches him on the shoulder and says that this time she wants to borrow something again. Looking at her, our boy asks if she needs money once again, but the neighbor is all embarrassed and speechless. Completely blushing, the girl stammers that no, she just felt a sudden urge to come there. Seeing our proto with different eyes, the girl sees him as a super handsome and muscular man, being enchanted by what she sees. Trying to calm down so as not to lose her composure, the neighbor takes a deep breath and tries to control her impulses. Completely changing the subject, the girl holds his hand and with a seductive look invites him to watch a movie at night. Insisting on the idea, she gets even closer and says it's okay for them to watch a movie together, leaving the kid with no way out. But out of nowhere, her personality changes and the girl starts yelling at him, calling our little protege a smelly man. At this moment, a Gothic-style woman lying on the floor furiously questions why he held his wife's hand. With a deadly gaze and red eyes, the newcomer stares at the two, exuding an aura of pure danger. Completely shocked by the revelation, our boy can only repeat the question, husband, without understanding anything of what is happening. Hugging the blonde in a possessive way, the Gothic woman tells our boy to leave her alone. Pulling her neighbor by the hand, she tells the girl to go with her, while the girl tries to explain herself, saying that it's not what she's thinking. Scolding his supposed wife, the Goth says she doesn't even want to think about what they would do in the future if they were already planning to go to the cinema now. Seeing this scene from afar, our protagonist gives a satisfied smile, realizing that his charm really works to attract girls. Excited about his new power, the boy celebrates that becoming a womanizer is now just a matter of time. But his celebration is interrupted by an apple that flies out of nowhere and hits him squarely in the face. Telling him to wait, the Goth woman says she will take care of him as soon as she finishes educating his wife. Saying goodbye to our boy with a wave, the neighbor leaves with the other, making our little protege realize that his charm doesn't work with everyone. The next day, the alarm clock rings again at 9 o'clock, marking the beginning of a new day in the game. Waking up on time, our proto sees the login machine once again, ready to collect his daily reward. Knowing that the item of the day is crucial to beating the game, he pulls the lever without hesitation. This time the reward is an escape rope, an item that allows you to instantly return to the entrance of a maze. And to your surprise, a continuous login reward also appears, a level 1 cell phone with the ability to hack devices. Thinking about the new item, our boy realizes that a cell phone that can hack anything will be extremely useful. At this exact moment, a new degrade mission appears, with the simple objective of going to the city center for a meal. Analyzing the new mission, our boy finds it strange that a simple meal is D grade, while the hostage rescue was E grade. But deciding not to think about it too much, the kid stretches and decides to go eat something straight away, since he's hungry. Arriving in the city center, our protagonist walks through the busy streets, observing the environment around him. Putting on his sunglasses, our little protege looks for some clue, but finding nothing, he decides to just find a restaurant to fill his stomach. Sitting down at a table, he calls the waiter over and excitedly orders a bowl of hot noodles to eat. To your complete surprise, the waitress who appears with your order is your neighbor Kiki, wearing a super cute maid outfit. Totally embarrassed and blushing, our boy comments on the coincidence and asks if she happens to work there. Explaining the situation, the girl says she got that job nearby, but out of nowhere, a mysterious woman appears and interrupts her. Presenting herself as a man-eater, the woman in the red dress says that her service is perfect and that she will take him flying. Panicking as she approaches, our little protege tries to say that it's a misunderstanding, as he's there to give her something. But completely ignoring his words, the woman grabs him tightly and steals a kiss from him right away. Walking away with a smile, the girl still criticizes his skills, saying they are not very good and leaving our boy completely embarrassed. Regretting internally, he realizes that it was his first kiss and that he didn't even have the chance to give it to Yizin. With a sensual silhouette on a sofa, the woman says she will teach him the real technique while her phone rings next to her. Suddenly, our proto starts to feel very dizzy, not understanding what is happening to his body. Seeing the image of the woman multiply into 4, our proto is totally confused, but she responds that originally there were already 4. Surrounding the kid on all sides, the 4 ask which one he likes the most, leaving him in a complicated situation. Fighting sleep, our little creature feels like he can't fall asleep there. but his body simply can't control itself anymore. And finally turning off, the boy falls into a deep sleep, while the cell phone next to him receives a call from Yizun. Waking up with a start and screaming, our boy looks at the clock and sees that it is 9 in the morning again. In panic when he sees the symbol of one of 3 lives floating, he desperately wonders if he ended up dying once again. But trying to calm down, our prota concludes that he already knew that a D difficulty mission wouldn't be so simple, he just didn't imagine that his neighborhood would be part of it. Questioning the woman's motive, he doubts it is just jealousy, as her skillful way of using the substance seemed very professional. Reasoning that if the intention was just to knock him out, it wouldn't all be possible without the participation of a leader behind him. And with this deduction, a system notification appears, informing him that he has gained a clue and another intelligence point. Now more prepared, our boy decides to use all his available items and try again, this time with a plan. Repeating the same process as last time, he goes to the city center and heads to the luxurious club where he met his neighbor. Climbing the stairs cautiously, our little protege feels fully armed this time, ready for whatever may come. Being greeted at the entrance by 2 receptionists, he notices with his glasses that their aura is blue. Analyzing the color of their outline, he deduces that, according to his past experience, the color blue must represent neutral characters. Appearing in front of him, a woman with a red aura questions him about a booklet, wanting to know if he would like to make the call. Noticing the red outline, our prota confirms that she is indeed an important person and directly related to the mission. At that moment, an information button appears over the woman, leaving our boy confused as he has never seen it before. Analyzing her attributes, the kid is shocked to see that her strength at 12 and her charm at 18 are much greater than his own. Asking if he is a customer, the girl looks at him with a serious expression, waiting for an answer. Disguising his nervousness, our boy says with a smile that he is looking for a girl named Wen Xiangxiang. Revealing that she is the boss, and that he is Yang Xiang's guest, the woman directs him to a room, mentioning special gifts inside. Walking to the door, our little protege finds nothing unusual in the hallway, feeling that everything is calm for now. But upon arriving, Xiangxiang herself appears at the entrance, saying that he has waited a long time for her arrival. Striking a heartthrob pose, our prota greets her with a charming smile, ready to use his new attribute. Completely surprised, the woman recognizes him immediately, stuttering the name Yichunyi while putting on a coat. Showing her attributes, the girl angrily asks him if he feels calm seeing his neighbor there. Repeating the same phrase as last time, the woman says that she is a man-eater and that her service is perfect. Interrupting her approach, our boy says he's going to take a shower first, strategically taking off his glasses. Questioning why he doesn't take a shower right there, the woman doesn't understand, while our prota simply walks away and leaves. Locking himself in the bathroom, our boy hides to put his plan into action. Using his cell phone item, our prota searches for Wen Xiangxiang's phone so he can hack into her device. Quickly managing to find the target, he celebrates the success of the search and begins the invasion. And in the hacked messages, the kid discovers that the leader told her to give him the package to drink anyway. Unexpectedly, the objective of the mission changes, now telling him to fake a feint to infiltrate enemy lines. Complaining about the lack of freedom in the system, our boy gets frustrated at having to follow the mission script. Remembering that last time he missed his first kiss, our prota decides that this time, he will do things his way to protect his honor. Shouting from inside the bathroom, the kid says he is thirsty and asks Wen Xiangxiang to bring him a glass of water. Thinking that it is a good idea to mix the substance in water, the woman takes the pill pack from her bag. And with an evil look, she thinks it's just Yichunyi's bad luck that she crossed her path. Handing the glass of water to our boy, the villain waits patiently for him to drink the contents. Right after drinking, our little protege starts pretending to feel dizzy, saying that the bathroom isn't very breathable. And hearing a thud coming from inside the bathroom, the woman becomes alert, realizing that her plan worked. Opening the door, the villain finds our boy lying on the floor, apparently passed out, and already shirtless. Kicking him dismissively, the woman laughs and says that smelly men like him really deserve this. Feeling the pain of the kick, our boy moans softly, maintaining his unconscious act. Calling someone, the woman tells them that it's already done, that the substance worked and the boy sleeps soundly. Listening to the conversation, our prota finally understands that last time he didn't die instantly, but was dragged to another place. And soon after, 3 huge men enter the bathroom, praising the new acquisition for being of good quality. Analyzing and even smelling our boy's body, the men get excited, saying he looks like a valuable treasure. Agreeing with the assessment, the blonde also says with a mischievous smile that his taste is also good. Screaming in his thoughts, our little protege is furious with what those guys are doing, holding himself back from reacting. Ordering them to take the boy quickly, the blonde gives the order, and the other 2 carry him out of the bathroom. While being taken away, our protagonist wonders how much longer he will have to maintain that performance. Minutes later, the kid is placed on a stretcher in a dark room, surrounded by members of the organization. Explaining that the effect of the substance will still last, the leader says that now they will wait for the quack doctor. Approaching the boss, the woman in the red dress asks about paying her debts after this order. Confirming with a smile, the leader guarantees that it will be worth it, and the other woman thanks her, calling her boss. Revealing her true plan, the boss explains that the boy's high survival value is due to his organs. And with an evil smile, she concludes that the foreign buyers are very generous, and that they will get a good price this time. Finally understanding the situation, our boy realizes that it is an organ trafficking gang and that he needs to act quickly. But luckily, their over-reliance on the substance left him loose, and our prota decides to use his escape rope. Equipping the escape rope from the hole, the item glows brightly and wraps around you for teleportation. Emerging outside the building, our boy celebrates his successful escape, relieved to have escaped. Taking out his cell phone, the kid prepares to call the police and clean everything up, finding the mission too easy. But to his surprise, 10 unread messages from Yeezy appear on the screen, leaving him confused. Out of nowhere, the killer appears from behind with a knife to his neck, furious at him for not responding and for daring to interfere in her industry. Completely paralyzed by fright, our little protégé asks what she just said, without believing it. Repeating the question in shock, sweat pours down our boy's face as he asks about her industry. Pressing the knife further, the girl calls him a disobedient puppy, asking if he really wants to go away from this. Finally putting the pieces together, the kid realizes that Yezin is the mastermind behind everything, the real murderous witch. Confirming her suspicions, the villain declares that anyone who dares to interfere in her territory will not leave alive. Seeing that there is no escape, our prota decides to take the opportunity to get more information, since he will lose a life anyway. Screaming with the knife at his neck, the boy questions Yezin about why she is involved in an organ trading business. But with an expression of pure confusion, the killer just repeats the question, organ trade, as if she doesn't know what he's talking about. Pointing to the building, our boy confirms that this is where they do their dirty business. Completely furious, Yezin screams what right they have to sell that, leaving our prota shocked that she doesn't know anything. Approaching him, the killer seductively demands that the little dog tell her everything he knows about the place. Meanwhile, in the operating room, the boss becomes possessed when she discovers that he escaped, complaining that the doctor had guaranteed the substance's effectiveness. Desperate, the doctor shouts not to let the boy reach the police, ordering his henchmen to go after him immediately. But reappearing out of nowhere in the middle of the room, our prota says that they don't need to chase him as he's right there. Ready for a fight, the duo faces their enemies, with Yezin already wielding his knife, and a deadly look. Mocking the situation, the doctor calls him an idiot for not only coming back but for bringing a little girl along with him. Assessing the killer with a disgusting look, the guy says that with that smooth skin, she must be worth more than 20 million. Then trying to get his hands on the girl, the villain says he will enjoy the moment and attacks her. Quickly stepping forward to protect her, our prota firmly says he will take care of it. But to his complete surprise, Yezin starts laughing uncontrollably at his attitude, leaving the kid completely confused. Continuing to laugh, the girl tells him to go ahead because a cuddly puppy should really look like a cuddly puppy. Annoyed that they are flirting, the doctor shouts and lunges with a punch straight to our boy's face. Being hit squarely, the prota flies backwards with the force of the impact, surrounded by a blue aura of energy. Looking for our boy after the punch, the doctor can't find him, without realizing that an invisible sticker has been stuck to his back. Annoyed, the boss shouts if he is blind, pointing out that the kid is right behind him. Turning around in confusion, the villain can't see anything, becoming completely lost with the situation. Taking advantage of the distraction, our prota appears and lands a powerful punch, making the doctor scream in pain. Knocking out the guy with a single blow, our boy laments that with only 9 strength he doesn't even have the power to tie up a chicken. Getting up from the ground, the villain becomes desperate, wondering where the hell the kid is. Coming up behind him once again, our little protégé hits the doctor over the head with a broken bottle, an evil smile on his face. With a confident expression, the boy celebrates that for enemies who can't see him, it's like playing in the palm of his hand. But his celebration is interrupted when the boss grabs him from behind, immobilizing his arms. Realizing that he is trapped, our prota remembers that the boss has a strength of 12, and that he cannot free himself. Seeing that the doctor is still dizzy, the kid has a brilliant idea and shouts at the blind man to hit him. Confused by the order, the villain asks where he wants him to hit, but our boy just shouts at him to hit quickly. Without thinking twice, the doctor lands a powerful punch straight on his boss, knocking the woman out instantly. Complaining that it hurt, the doctor looks at the fallen boss and calls her an idiot while our prota walks away. Seeing the whole scene from afar, Yezin bursts into laughter, amused by the villain's confusion and stupidity. Finally understanding invisibility, the doctor is shocked by the technology, wondering how it is possible. Pulling out a gun, the villain challenges our boy, saying he wants to see if technology can stop his bullets. Aiming directly at Yezin, the doctor presses the trigger without thinking twice, trying to eliminate her. Desperate with the scene, our protagonist worries, thinking that not even the killer can be faster than a projectile. But moving at an absurd speed, the girl dodges the shot and cuts the villain's arm with a precise blow from her knife. Screaming in pure agony, the doctor sees his arm gushing blood after the killer's extremely quick attack. Completely shocked by the scene, the boss and the other woman are paralyzed with fear, unable to react. Falling to the ground and terrified, the villain begins to desperately beg for them not to finish him right there. Approaching him with contempt, the girl kicks him and teases him, asking if he's going to call her a little girl again. Crying like a child, the doctor desperately promises that he won't dare say that again. But without showing any mercy, the killer says that unfortunately, there will be no next time and prepares the final blow. In the blink of an eye, the villain's body falls to the ground, leaving the two other women sitting and completely terrified. Turning to the boss, Yizin questions her directly, asking if she is the one who buys and sells the human organs there. Stammering in fear, the woman begs not to be eliminated, threatening that the boss behind it all won't let her escape. Continuing with the threat, the villain says that the man behind her has many industries, and that everyone knows that whoever offends him will have a terrible end. Mocking the threat, Yizin says that in this case the boss behind it is really scary, while dialing a number on his cell phone. Then showing the villain her ringing cell phone, the killer ironically asks her why she isn't answering the phone. Seeing the name boss on the screen, the woman turns completely pale, unable to believe what is happening. Breaking her cell phone with one hand, Yizin questions with a deadly look if that was really the boss. Falling to the ground in pure fear, the woman stutters, asking who the girl really is. Advancing in the blink of an eye, the assassin cuts the villain's neck with a quick and precise blow. And with life fading away, the woman falls to the ground, completely without a chance to retaliate against the attack. Seeing the brutal scene, our boy tries to grab Yizin, angrily saying that the woman deserved that. But his heart is heavy, and he can barely put into words what he is feeling at that moment. Observing the two bodies on the ground, shock takes over him, not just for seeing the lives slipping away, but for something more. Realizing the scary truth, our prota realizes that the seemingly weak little girl in front of him is the one who really scares him. Questioning whether she's the real boss behind everything, our boy stares at her with a mixture of fear and admiration. Saying that there is still one left, Yizin turns to the last woman, who begins to desperately beg for her life. Saying that she has a huge debt and that is why she has to obey her boss, the woman swears that she doesn't know anything and asks not to be eliminated. But at the moment of the final blow, the killer stops the knife centimeters from her neck, deciding to spare her life. Trying to intervene, our boy stutters that she is his neighbor and asks to spare her out of consideration for him. But with a furious look, the killer asks since when the puppy dares to give orders to its master. Giving a lame excuse, our prota says he doesn't have much credit, so he needs to send a sweet treat every now and then, as a treat. Interpreting everything wrong, the girl asks if that woman is his candy and if he wants to eat her, leaving our little protege desperate. Explaining quickly, the kid says that a lot of people know her, so if she suddenly disappears, he'll be in trouble. Listening to the explanation carefully, the killer remains silent for a moment, thinking about what he just said. Finally agreeing, Yizin says he will let her go, while the woman gets up and our boy rushes her to leave quickly. Leaving there angrily, the woman still shouts at our boy not to think that she will be grateful to him for that. Thinking the woman is a terrible person, our little protege gets a funny face, while Yizin bursts into laughter next to him. Arriving at the crime boss's house, night falls on the luxurious and imposing mansion. Inside, the killer takes the opportunity to take a relaxing bath, washing away all the tiredness of the day. Sitting on a sofa in the living room, our boy wonders why the mission hasn't been completed yet, even though it's already dark. But most importantly, the penny drops, and he realizes how he ended up in the mafia boss's house, sensing imminent danger. Taking advantage of the opportunity, a kid decides to put on his glasses to finally see what Yezin's attributes are. To your utter surprise, the status screen shows that her grade is Ancient Bone and all of her attributes are simply unknown. Without understanding the result, our boy wonders if there was some type of data overload with the reading. At that moment, the bathroom door opens and Yezin appears wrapped in a towel, taking our prota by surprise. Asking what the puppy is doing, the killer looks at him with a serious and curious expression. Panicking and stuttering, our boy is speechless, realizing it's over for him. Throwing a towel over his head, the girl tells him to go take a shower, saying that his clothes are already ready in the bathroom. Thinking to himself, our little protege remembers that he needs to be vigilant, as he is in the house of a witch, who eliminates without blinking. From inside the shower, he hears the girl calling him and responds immediately, still a little scared. Surprised that she didn't call him a puppy, our boy comes out of the shower, still intrigued by the change in treatment. Explaining the situation, Yezin reveals that although all that land is hers, there are always people trying to do something nasty right under her nose. Questioning whether she is really the boss of all that, our little protege tries to confirm the truth about her identity. Clarifying things, the assassin says that she is the leader of the organization, and that her daily job is to eliminate losers who violate the rules. Curious, our boy asks what the rules of the organization she values so much would be. Listing some of the violations, she mentions purchasing an organization to do business with and investigating their other properties without permission, as well as not responding to her messages. Realizing the gravity of his own actions, our protagonist turns to stone, understanding that he deserved to be eliminated several times. Confirming her fears, Yizin admits that when she saw him today, she really wanted to wipe out his race. But with a smile on her face, the killer says that because of the puppy's protection of her master earlier, she will spare him this time. Immediately, a mission screen appears, congratulating our boy on completing the degrade double life event, and giving him 1 million in cash, plus 1 life, and 5 attribute points. Then moving up to level 2, our prota begins to theorize that the main mission this time was actually to reveal Yezin's true identity. Gaining 5 more attribute points to distribute, The kid swears that with his experience from last time, he won't be fooled again. However, completely ignoring his own promise, our boy chooses to add all 5 points in charm once again. Striking a heartthrob pose, our protagonist celebrates his decision, thinking that a real man should live a single life. Coming out of the shower, the kid touches his own forehead, still processing what he just did. Thinking to himself, he notices that this time his other attributes were not deducted, considering it a great profit. Suddenly, the killer's voice calls him a puppy, making our boy respond in surprise at the same time. Extending her hand seductively, the girl simply asks him to come with her, without giving any further explanations. Without even giving him time to react, Yizhen pulls him by the hand and takes him towards the bedroom. With great force, the killer throws him onto the bed, leaving our little thing completely unresponsive. Climbing on top of the boy, the girl orders him to lie down and not move, leaving him completely confused. Panicking, our boy wonders if this is a harem game, lamenting that he's not ready to say goodbye for his first time. But trying to calm down, the proto rationalizes that it's normal for a charming guy like him to attract a mafia boss. Closing his eyes and preparing himself for the moment, the boy is taken by surprise when she simply says he can go. Completely shocked by her reaction, our boy asks if she's not going to do anything, not understanding the sudden change. With a furious look, the killer tells him that he has 10 minutes to get out of there or he will have to face the consequences. Furious about the situation, our little protege shouts that she always provokes him, but at the crucial moment, she simply lets him go. Running away desperately, the boy shouts that a man knows when to back off, and that she will see when he adds more charm points. Having then a memory of the past, Yizhen remembers a memorable moment from his childhood. In her memory, a younger version of her was holding her father's hand, excitedly asking if she could go with him. But with a sad look, the man explained that he was going to a very dangerous place, and that he couldn't take her. Then handing the little girl a dagger, he leaves her completely confused with that unexpected gift. With a smile, her father said that from that moment on, she would inherit his territory with that blade and asked if she could do that. Completely happy, the little girl accepted the gift and the responsibility with a radiant smile on her face. Back in the present, a tear slips from her eye as she thinks our boy smells like him. Then, the 29th of May arrives. The daily login machine appears once again for our prota. This time, the reward is level 1 copy gloves, a premium item that can copy anything touched for 5 seconds. Celebrating his luck, our little protege is super excited to have gotten high-quality equipment. Deciding to test the copy function, the kid takes a glass to see if it really works. Seeing the shiny copy appear, our boy gets excited, thinking about how he's going to make a lot of money with it. Sitting on the couch to relax, your attention is stolen by a breaking news story on television. Showing the crime scene, the reporter explains that a very valuable jewel, the Aquamarina star, was stolen. Detailing the robbery, the journalist says that the thief had help from a maid, and it only took 15 minutes, but our boy's cell phone starts ringing. Seeing Yizhen's message on her cell phone, she orders the puppy to retrieve the Aquamarine star and protect his territory. Reading the order with an ironic smile, our boy scoffs at the idea, as he doesn't even know the size of her territory. But finding the challenge extremely attractive, the kid responds immediately, guaranteeing that he will take care of it without any problems. Immediately after sending the message, a system interface appears in front of you, activating a new task. Confirming the D-grade mission, the objective is very clear: help Yizhen find the jewel that was stolen. Thinking that he has already explored enough of the gameplay in the previous quests, our protagonist prepares for what is to come. Completely confident and showing off his status, our boy declares that this time, the show will be for real. Arriving at the mansion an hour later, an orange beam of light shines brightly over the place, indicating an important clue. Observing all the press activity from afar, our little prototype focuses on the light and confirms that he found what he was looking for. With a sinister smile on his face, he understands that the orange light indicates clues or people directly related to the mission. Suddenly, your expression of confidence changes to one of pure shock, as if something impossible has happened. Seeing the orange light simply dissipate into the air, the kid wonders if it really disappeared. Reasoning quickly, he concludes that if the light is gone, the clue must be a creature that is in motion. Then your eyes find a possible escape route, spotting the back door of the property. Concluding that the target couldn't have gone very far in such a short time, our boy runs towards the location. Being blocked by 2 henchmen, our boy is told to get out of there and not bother their boss. Noticing the orange light on the 2, our prota confirms that they are indeed the clues he was looking for. Annoyed by his presence, one of the guys shouts that the boss is working and that no one should disturb him. Completely ignoring the 2, our boy focuses on a bigger clue ahead, leaving the goons furious. Going on the attack, the henchman swings a metal pipe at him, saying he will regret it. Completing the blow with all his strength, the villain only hits the air as our boy simply disappeared. Completely confused, they both wonder where he went, without noticing the invisibility sticker stuck on them. Running past the 2, our little protege regrets having to waste 2 of his sticky notes on them. Following the biggest clue, our boy finds a guy harassing a girl with white hair who screams for help. With a malicious smile, the villain says that no one will rescue her, as her brother has already blocked the way. Visibly desperate, the girl tries to free herself, but the man holds her even tighter, without letting her escape. Totally mesmerized by the scene, our protagonist looks like a fool, drooling and saying what a great day. Reprimanding himself, the kid remembers that he is there to help, and that this was not the time to think nonsense. Imagining himself as a hero of justice, our boy understands that his speech should be to tell the guy to release the girl. Taking advantage of the distraction, the girl manages to free herself and run away, while the villain turns around and asks where that crazy person came from. Desperately asking for help, the white-haired girl reaches out to our prota and calls him darling. Celebrating his unexpected luck, our boy is super excited to find a clue, and even have a romantic date. But while running into his arms, the girl steps on a soda can, losing her balance for a second. In a quick movement, the girl turns and punches our little protege in the face, just as he was shouting about his luck. Falling knocked out on the floor, the kid immediately blacks out, while the girl just apologizes for what happened. Angry at being interrupted, the red-haired guy pulls out a dagger and threatens our boy for getting in the way. Sitting on the floor and still recovering, our prota makes fun of the villain's name, thinking that ultimate madness is terrible. Advancing with dagger in hand, the enemy attacks our boy, ignoring the fact that he is bleeding. In the blink of an eye, the guy gets very close, ready to finish the attack with a well-aimed blow. With a serious expression, our protagonist begins to tell a secret, saying that when he was at school, then activating his copying gloves, a glass cup materializes, shining in his hand. And completing the sentence, the kid shouts that everyone liked to call him Lang Shao while breaking the object in the enemy's face. Seeing the enemy lying on the ground, our boy laments with his hand on his head that the show couldn't maintain its reputation. Totally impressed by the scene, the girl with white hair blushes and finds the whole attitude incredible. Remembering his glory days, our protagonist gets lost in thought, but soon remembers that he is there to find clues and not to feel homesick. Noticing that they both glow with orange light, our boy confirms that they are both the clues he needs to follow. Then pressing the dagger against the villain's neck, our protagonist interrogates him about the aquamarine star, while the guy begs not to be illuminated. But the man swears that he knows nothing, saying he is just a local troublemaker who has never seen any jewelry. Having no patience for lies, our boy punches the guy in the face with everything he needs, immediately shutting him up. Screaming in pure pain and panic, the villain is completely terrified by the unexpected violence. Seeing that there is no way out, the guy finally confesses that he received a call to report the progress on the jewelry theft. With the girl with white hair watching everything from behind, our little protege gets ready to discover even more information. Following the new clue, the orange aura takes you to a telephone booth in a completely abandoned neighborhood. Finally arriving at the place, our boy complains that he spent more than 100 yuan on a taxi just to find that hiding place. Planning where to start the invasion, he notices the front door and a security camera positioned right at the entrance. Inside, a maid armed with a rifle patrols the dark hallway, alert for any movement. But when looking up, the woman notices the security camera and is surprised, not understanding what is happening. Hiding outside, our prota watches her through his hacked cell phone and celebrates having found a mouse. Determined to act, the kid advances along the corridor, thinking that if he manages to capture the thief, he will obtain many useful clues. But when he looks at his cell phone again, an expression of pure anger takes over his face, as if something had gone terribly wrong. Hearing the sound of gunshots, our boy wonders if by chance he was discovered by the enemies. Suddenly, a sinister shadow appears in the corridor, slowly moving towards you. Shouting that he is not afraid, our protagonist advances with everything to attack, ready for whatever comes. But to his complete surprise, the fight ends before it even starts, with the maid already lying on the floor. Then seeing the wound on her forehead, he realizes that the woman did not faint, she was actually shot. Being on high alert, our boy turns towards the danger, ready to defend himself from the threat. Emerging from the darkness, a giant masked man appears with a gun in his hand, declaring that everything there is his. Then stopping in front of the woman's body, the villain looks at her with a look of pure contempt. Pulling it from her neck, the man finally takes out the shining jewel that was hidden with her. Declaring that the aquamarine star belongs only to him, the guy guarantees that no one will be able to take it out of his hands. However, in the blink of an eye, the jewel simply disappears into thin air, leaving the villain completely shocked. Demanding that the hidden person appears, the man shoots everywhere, trying to find the person responsible. Hidden in the shadows, our little protege holds the maid's rifle, regretting not having found the jewel first. Concluding that the only way out is to take the item by force, our boy prepares for direct confrontation. Shooting again, the villain shouts furiously, demanding that whoever is there leave and stop hiding. Declaring that the hunt is on, our boy jumps out with rifle in hand, ready for action. Without hesitation, he squeezes the trigger, and a flash illuminates the corridor, firing the only bullet. But the shot just misses the villain, who turns around with an expression of pure fury. Regretting the mistake, our little protege grumbles at having missed the target by so little. However, the man mocks, remembering that the maid's gun only had one bullet, while he still has his pistol. Challenging with a cynical smile, the villain tells our boy to shoot himself in the head if he dares. Suddenly, a hole appears in his forehead, and the cigarette falls out of his mouth, leaving him with an expression of pure shock. And with the enemy down, our prota comments that this was the first time he had heard such a strange request. Revealing his trick, the kid shows that he used his gloves to reproduce the ammunition he needed. Finally getting the aquamarine star, our boy celebrates that now he just needs to give it to Yezin to complete the mission. But out of nowhere, a gun is pointed at his head with a voice telling him to hand over the jewelry. Turning slowly, he faces the white-haired girl, saying with a smile that he has distrusted her for a long time. Because since the last time he saw the orange light on her, he felt something was wrong, and remained on alert, as a precaution. Then posing like a heartthrob, our little protege tells her not to be so rude, preparing to use her charisma points. Immediately, the girl's partner has hearts in her eyes, completely enchanted by the handsome man she sees. Declaring that she has fallen in love, the muscular woman defends our boy, saying that he is her man, and that no one can touch him. Totally panicked by the situation, our proto wonders if this is really the charm he knows, as it is very different from what he imagined. Deciding that survival is the priority, the kid uses the woman as a human shield, aiming the rifle over her shoulder. And without any warning, her head explodes in a shower of blood, leaving everyone shocked by the scene. Seeing then that the shooter is actually the masked villain he thought he defeated, our boy is left in disbelief. Standing amidst the fallen bodies, our proto orders everyone to surrender and drop their weapons. Observing all the thieves on the ground, he finally understands that the gang is made up of 3 people, including a pair of twins. Standing next to his brother, the villain mocks, saying that our boy is still inexperienced in deceiving him. Trying a different approach, our little protege approaches with the jewel in hand, saying he was just cleaning the dust off it. But the guy doesn't fall for the lame excuse, questioning who would believe such a ridiculous lie. Taking the box with the jewelry, the villain opens it to check if everything is okay. With a furious look, he shouts at our boy, asking how dare he lie to him. Realizing that he's been caught, our proto panics, not knowing how he will get out of the situation. And when he blows into the empty box, the villain becomes even more irritated by the deception. Screaming in anger, he questions how dare our boy lie about cleaning up the dust when he didn't even do it right. In a cold sweat, our boy gives a nervous smile and says he was scared by the villain, trying to hide his tension. Revealing his genius plan, the kid shows that he made a copy of the necklace before delivering the empty box, fooling everyone. Questioning the girl with white hair, she still believes in our protagonist's nonsense. The villain appears very confident, saying that the jewelry is clean but there is still some trash to remove. The guy cocks his gun, aiming at our boy. And without thinking twice, the man squeezes the trigger, shooting with all his might toward his target. But the shot only hits the wall, making the villain completely shocked at having missed such an easy target. Unable to find the enemy, the guy becomes confused, without noticing the invisibility sticker glued to his back. Taking advantage of the distraction, our little protege hides behind the villain, who continues looking for him, like an idiot. Seeing the perfect chance, the twin brother shouts for the white-haired girl to get away as quickly as possible. But in the middle of his escape, the poor guy gets shot in the head, being immediately eliminated by his own brother. Completely furious at being tricked, the man points the gun at our boy, and screams at him to go to hell. Reacting faster, our protagonist jumps on top of him, and shouts that the one who should die there is the real villain. Then hitting the enemy in the back of the head with a brick, the kid disarms him with a precise and quick blow. Falling to the ground and completely defeated, the bandit complains that it wasn't fair, but rather a sneak attack. Seeing the entire scene with a serious expression, the girl with white hair seems not at all impressed with the situation. Approaching slowly, our boy stares at the girl with white hair, while the villain remains lying on the ground. Questioning why he saved her, the girl walks away, visibly suspicious of our little protege's attitude. Saying that he can't stand seeing girls being bullied, our proto questions her about why she was there to steal the jewelry. Explaining the situation, the girl reveals that it is a relic left by her grandfather and her only memory of him. Shocked by the revelation, our boy finally understands that she's the original owner of the aquamarine star. But without believing the story, the girl points the gun at him and demands that he return the real jewel. Thinking about his situation, our proto knows that if he hands over the jewel, Yin will definitely eliminate him. Deciding to go on the attack, the boy advances towards her, planning to knock her out and take the jewel by force. But to her surprise, he willingly hands over the jewelry, thanking her for her cooperation. Seeing the girl leave with the item, our boy calculates that the chance of an attack from behind is extremely high. Sneaking up to her, he prepares to put his true plan into action. With a sharp blow to the back of the head, our proto knocks the girl out, saying that since she wants the jewelry, they can play fair. Totally confused by his own words, the kid doesn't understand why he said that instead of simply taking the item. Then placing the jewel inside the blue box, he prepares for the next phase of his far-fetched plan. Throwing the box from the first floor, our boy suggests that the two go up the stairs, and whoever gets it first gets the jewel. Proposing a race, our boy says that whoever gets the jewel first will be the final owner of the item. Accepting the challenge, our proto runs ahead, shouting that it's agreed and running with everything. But with a mischievous smile, the girl comments that he's in a big hurry, as she hasn't even finished saying the rules. Running up the stairs, our boy finds the situation strange, but knows he can't miss the chance. Finally arriving at the ground floor, the kid stops and takes a deep breath, observing the box on the floor. Sensing that something is wrong, he hides and realizes that the girl is too calm, deciding to wait and see if it is a trap. And his suspicion is confirmed when the girl appears out of nowhere, thanking him for saving her life but warning him that he will lose. With a confident smile, our boy takes out his cell phone, saying he's going to see what she's up to. Searching for nearby cell phone signals, the system finds a target and begins the invasion immediately. Mocking her attempt to hide, our prota activates the alarm on the girl's cell phone remotely, certain that he will find her. Realizing that the girl is anything but normal, the kid is relieved that he didn't rush into her trap. Deciding to play as equals, our boy uses his gloves to copy the girl's weapon, ready for a fair duel. Seeing his silhouette running, the girl prepares to shoot, shouting that he has finally appeared. However, before she could react, a flash illuminates the place and she is hit squarely by a shot. But to everyone's surprise, the one who falls to the ground is our boy, knocked out by the impact of the shot. Seeing the girl run to the box, our boy celebrates having caught her in his trap. However, the one who ends up getting shot is the girl herself, who screams in pain when she is hit in the arm. Falling to the ground injured, the girl drops the weapon, completely defeated by our protagonist's plan. Then revealing his fake copy, the kid mocks, saying that a fake model deceived her without any challenge. Taking the box with the jewelry, our boy says that according to the rules of the game, it belongs to him for now. Standing up with victory assured, our protagonist prepares to finally leave. But deciding not to overdo it, he takes out his cell phone and dials emergency services. Leaving the abandoned building, the kid calls the ambulance, still facing away from the scene. Informing that there are injured people at the scene, he asks them to come as quickly as possible. 3 hours later, our boy walks calmly through a park, far away from all the chaos. Then placing the jewel on the table, he watches it shine, satisfied with the result of his plan. Laying down on his bed to rest, the kid comments that he found the mission quite normal, without any major challenges. Suddenly, a jewel begins to glow and float in the air, moving quickly around the room. Jumping awake with the noise, our boy screams asking who is there, completely on alert. Seeing the killer standing next to his bed, he hears her comment that the puppy is still very fast. Drawing her dagger in the blink of an eye, the assassin prepares to attack our boy from behind. But even though he's fast, our prota is still half a second slower than her, who already immobilizes him with the blade to his neck. But in an unexpected movement, the boy loses his balance and falls backwards, knocking the girl down with him. Totally embarrassed by the proximity, our boy apologizes and says he's going to get up right now. Just then, a system notification appears, congratulating him on completing the thieves' mission and giving him 1,000,001 more levels. With a relieved smile, our little protege thinks that Yizen's appearance wasn't so scary after all. However, the killer gives him a missing person poster, asking the puppy to take care of another crime that happened. Seeing the photo on paper, our boy is surprised to realize that it is a new mission to find someone. And at the same time, the C-grade quest objective appears, telling him to look for a girl named Bing Tang Dai Dai Yi. Complaining that the system interferes with everything, the kid gets frustrated because he doesn't have even a minute to rest. But changing his attitude, he assures Yizen with a confident smile that he is always ready for a new mission. Saying that she needs to take care of something else, the girl says that she will leave the work to the dog and leaves through the window. Promising that she will return later, the killer leaves, leaving our prota a little confused by the scene. Suddenly, the daily logging machine appears in the middle of the room, surrounded by a cloud of smoke. Realizing then that it's time for the lucky draw, our boy walks excitedly towards his reward. Seeing that he has earned 3 more sticky notes, our boy thinks he needs to prepare well before heading out on the new quest. Immediately afterwards, the system congratulates you for also getting 2 scarecrows in a lucky draw. Analyzing the reward, the interface explains that the dolls can block an attack for the owner, making our prota think the item is very good. Feeling more confident with his new equipment, the kid prepares for whatever comes next. Then seeing an orange beam of light marking the mission location in the city, he just hopes it isn't something boring. Arriving at the exact point an hour later, our boy prepares to begin his investigation. Then a woman with the same orange aura appears, walking towards a building with bags in her hands. Confirming that the information on the glasses cannot be wrong, our little protege is sure that there is something very strange about that person. And his suspicion is confirmed when he sees the woman rushing up the stairs, with a clear expression of panic on her face. Carefully unlocking the door, she enters the apartment, not noticing that she is being watched closely. Hiding nearby, the kid watches her, thinking that sneaky people like her are never good people. Deciding not to make any mistakes, our prota decides to monitor the situation from inside first, using his cell phone. To your complete surprise, the search finds 4 different signs, indicating that there are more people in the room. Seeing the woman pulling a little girl's hair, and telling her to gain weight to be sold, our boy understands that it is a gang of drug dealers. Completely furious with the scene, one of the men stands up and screams, saying that they are looking for their own death. Completely furious, our boy swears that he will no longer tolerate it and that he will not let them escape. Thinking that fighting for it once is a problem, the kid comes up with a plan to attract them one by one. Then calling one of the numbers, our prota pretends to be a delivery man, explaining that he got the contact by hacking their records. And with the plan working, one of the men walks out the door, looking very irritated with the situation. Coming down the stairs, grumbling, the guy complains that the delivery man didn't even know how to deliver to the door, while our boy waits for him downstairs. Hiding behind the wall, our little protege waits for the exact moment for the surprise attack. Taking advantage of the distraction, the kid advances and hits the henchman square in the head. Being caught in the attack, the man screams in pain without even having time to react to the blow. With the first one already knocked out on the ground, our boy calculates that there are now 2 men and 1 woman left. Confident that he can handle the rest using his sticky notes and strawman, our prota heads upstairs. Then knocking on the apartment door, he hears a voice from inside telling someone to open it. Knowing he can use his sticky notes to stick to the air within a 5-meter radius, the second henchman opens the door. Being completely confused, the man wonders where the delivery man went, without noticing the sticker on his shoulder. Appearing out of nowhere right in front of you, our little protege punches the second villain in the face. Retaliating against an attack, the kid still lands a powerful kick on the third man, making him feel the taste of being beaten. Coming after our boy, the last henchman shouts, asking where the wild kid is, ready for a fight. Dodging the attack with a cleaver, our protagonist realizes that he will still have to use his items to win that fight. Moving away to gain space, the kid runs towards a table, grabbing something to use as a weapon. With a confident smile, he plans to use chopsticks to confuse his opponent, and then finish him by surprise. Moving forward, our boy is called an idiot by the villain, who mocks his choice of weapon. Trying to block the blade with chopsticks, our protagonist takes a deep cut in the chest, spurting blood everywhere. But to the enemy's surprise, a scarecrow appears out of nowhere, absorbing all the damage from the attack. Saying that chopsticks are not for blocking but for eliminating, our boy counterattacks, piercing the man's neck. Falling on the table with everything, the villain can't even react, while the woman watches everything in terror. Kneeling on the ground, the kidnapper begins to desperately beg for her life, offering all the money she has. Completely ignoring her request, our proto walks with his sunglasses on, past the 2 fallen henchmen. Approaching the little girl, he asks if she is Bing Tang and tells her not to be afraid, as he is there to save her. Confirming that she was kidnapped by those bad guys, the girl just nods, still a little scared. Seeing the woman advancing with an axe, she screams that because he interferes, she will go straight to hell. Without even turning around, our boy punches the kidnapper in the face, knocking her out with a single blow. Calling the kidnapper stupid, our boy stares at her with contempt, standing in front of her fallen body. Explaining his tactic, he reveals that her shadow had already exposed her location, and that people with low IQs shouldn't attempt sneak attacks. Suddenly, the system interface appears once again, showing an update on the current mission. Now the C-grade objective is changed to protecting Bing Tang, ensuring that the girl doesn't die in the process. Confused by the change, our proto wonders if this means there's still a gang around. Deciding that they need to get out of there for safety, the kid asks if the little girl knows where her house is. Seeing that the girl doesn't remember, our boy picks her up and takes her to his own house, promising to help her find her way. At night, the clock shows 7:05, showing that time has passed since the rescue. Sitting next to the bed, our proto finds it strange that the protection mission has not yet been completed, even though he has already left the place. Then going to close the door, he looks at the sleeping girl, still trying to understand what is happening. Concluding that if the mission isn't over, someone else must be looking for it, our boy prepares for what's to come. Deciding to be careful and take precautions, he sits down to watch and wait for any threat. Preparing his weapons on the table, the kid thinks that if he manages to eliminate the enemy, he can finally finish the job. But after 2 hours of waiting, tiredness wins, and our proto ends up falling into a deep sleep. Awakening with a start, your eyes widen in pure alert, sensing that something is very wrong. Realizing that the girl is missing, our boy runs to the room, feeling that something is not right. Seeing his trap broken, he realizes that someone broke it from the outside and took the girl. Furious, our proto swears that he won't let those bastards escape, and that he needs to bring Bing Tang back. On top of the roof and under the light of the moon, a mysterious figure with a fiery aura watches everything from above. Running desperately down the street, our boy screams so that nothing bad happens to the little girl. But when he hears a voice calling him, he stops confused, not understanding where it is coming from. Seeing the girl sitting on the edge of the building, she innocently asks him if he knows what the world will be like after she leaves. Reprimanding the girl, our proto shouts at her to get out of there, warning her that it is a very dangerous place. Thanking you with a smile, the girl says she just wants to jump to see another world, a place where there is no pain. Shocked, our boy finally understands that it was no one who took her, but herself who broke her trap from within. Saying goodbye with tears in her eyes, the little girl throws herself off the building, leaving our little child terrified. With an expression of pure panic, he realizes that the situation is much worse than he imagined. As she falls, the girl wishes that in the other world, there would be no pain, hunger, beatings, or curses. Jumping after her, our boy shouts that the world has a good side, and that he will never let her go. Clutching tightly in the air, the impact of the fall makes our proto spurt blood from his mouth, screaming in pain. Feeling the absurd pain of the impact, our boy screams as he is completely enveloped by a cloud of dust. But at the last second, a giant scarecrow appears out of nowhere, cushioning the fall and saving them both from the fatal impact. Crying desperately, the girl asks him not to leave, saying that it's all her fault. With a smile to calm her, our prota picks her up, relieved that the Scarecrow's job is to get bigger and protect them. Seeing the unbelievable scene, the little one asks if he can do magic, and our boy confirms that his magic is very powerful. Starting to cry again, the girl just says it's too late, as a painful memory comes into her mind. In her memory, a man attacks her, complaining that she only eats and drinks without helping with expenses, while her grandmother tries to defend her. Furious at the interference, the man grabs his grandmother, accusing her of hiding the pension and asking if she has a problem with him. Pushing the lady hard, the villain throws her to the ground, making the little girl scream desperately for her name. Crying while hugging her granddaughter, the lady laments having given birth to a debt collector, while the man shouts at her to hurry. Taking a credit card out of her clothes, the grandmother prepares to hand it over and put an end to it. Taking the card from her hand, the villain demands the password, and the lady reveals that it is 318. With a satisfied smile, the guy says he's going to play mahjong and tells them not to bother him anymore. Starting to cough non-stop, the lady can barely speak, leaving her granddaughter desperate and very scared. And with her last strength, the grandmother falls into her granddaughter's arms, leaving that world forever. With an evil smile, the girl's father just says that it's good that her grandmother left early, as it was annoying having her at home. Back in the present, the little girl asks our boy to take her to the hospital, leaving him completely confused. Concerned, our prota asks if she was hurt, crouching down to examine her carefully. Explaining that she is not injured, the girl says she wants to go to the hospital to see someone important. Sighing with relief, our boy says he was scared to death, but he will take her wherever she wants. Arriving at the place an hour later, our little protege wonders if by any chance Bing Tang has any family there. Seeing mess in the hallway, the girl explains that her grandmother is in room 109 in that hospital. At that exact moment, the girl's father appears screaming, blaming her grandmother for leaving and refusing to pay her medical expenses. With an expression of pure anger, the little girl becomes furious, wondering what she has to do with his responsibilities. Advancing with everything, the little girl runs towards her father, while our boy tries to stop her without success. Biting the man's hand with all her strength, the girl makes him scream in pain with the unexpected attack. Angry, the father kicks her away, asking where that wild little girl came from. Falling on the floor and crying, Bing Tang blames him for her grandmother's departure, completely devastated by the situation. Without showing any remorse, the man says he will not provide any compensation, refusing to accept any guilt. Coming out of nowhere, our boy punches the villain in the face, saying that bullying a child is something trash like him does. Being hit squarely by the punch, the man flies backwards with the force of the impact, without even having time to react. Staring at the guy angrily, our boy says he already knew about him, revealing that he was aware of the entire situation. Declaring with a cold look that that guy is not worthy of being the little girl's father. Confirming the suspicions, two nurses comment that the man is a player who doesn't care about his daughter, and that they have even seen him attack the little girl. Then, grabbing the villain's hair, our prota calls him a piece of trash while the man asks what he's doing. And throwing everything against the window, our boy breaks the glass and ends the fight once and for all. With the guy knocked out on the ground amidst the shards, the scene finally seems to have come to an end. Turning to the little girl, our little protege says with a smile that he has already taught that guy a lesson. But when looking for her, he realizes that the little girl simply disappeared, leaving no trace. Finding the little girl at the bedroom door, he sees her slowly approaching the hospital bed. Standing in front of the bed, the girl tells her grandmother that Bing Tang is there to see her. Blaming herself for everything, the little girl apologizes for not being able to protect her grandmother as she should have. Crying and saying she's there, tears run down her face as she gets even closer. And in an act of desperation, the girl tries to join her grandmother to accompany her, shocking our boy. Running to stop her, our prota shouts at her not to do that, trying to avoid a tragedy. Grabbing the girl at the last second, our boy holds her tightly, preventing her from getting hurt. Giving her a scolding, he says that she will only demean her father by acting like that, and that it's not worth it. Caressing her head, our prota tries to calm her down, while the girl cries disconsolately. Finally understanding everything, he realizes that the reason she tried was because of the loss of his grandmother. Seeing how pitiful the child's situation is, our boy decides he needs to do something to help him. But when pulling the sheet, the girl ends up dropping a paper that was hidden there without anyone noticing. Picking up the note, our prota is surprised and wonders what that thing he just found is. Reading the contents, he discovers that it is actually Bing Tang's grandmother's farewell note. Asking if the little girl wants to hear what is written, our boy approaches carefully, trying to comfort her. With the girl agreeing, he prepares to read the letter out loud, right next to her grandmother's bed. Starting the reading, the grandmother says goodbye, saying that without her, Bing Tang needs to live well, and that she remembers when she asked about her name. In a happy memory, the little girl asked why her name was Bing Tang, and her grandmother replied that it was because the name was very cute. Continuing the letter, she explains that the Chinese medicine is bitter, but after having her granddaughter, who is sweet, it is not so bad anymore. And even with all the suffering, the grandmother says that because of the candy that surrounded her, she felt a pleasant taste despite the pain. Finishing the letter, you wish your granddaughter to be sweet every day after she leaves, saying goodbye with a message of affection. Crying desperately, the little girl screams for her grandmother's name, completely inconsolable at the loss. Immediately, a system notification pops up, congratulating our boy on completing the mission and giving him 1,005 talent. Seeing the reward, our proto levels up, realizing that the task has finally come to an end. Trying to console the little girl, he promises that with him around, no one will bully her in the future. At that moment, a nurse appears and asks if they are Li Shuime's family, interrupting the conversation. Explaining the situation, the girl informs that her grandmother left some medical expenses and asks them to settle the bill. Agreeing to pay for everything, our boy takes the paperwork while the nurse thanks him with a smile. Suddenly, the girl with white hair appears in the hallway with her butler insisting that she cannot leave the hospital. But the girl explains that the aquamarine star is her grandfather's only relic, and that if it stays there, the jewel will not return. Walking down the hallway, the girl cries softly, calling her grandmother's name, still mourning the loss. And when she enters the room, she sees little Bing-Tang crying on the bed, blaming herself for not being good enough to protect her grandmother. Observing the scene with sadness, the nurses comment that it is a shame that the granddaughter and grandmother were not able to see each other before leaving. Feeling completely alone, the white-haired girl thinks that now she doesn't know what the future holds for her. And with a painful memory, she remembers seeing her grandfather in bed, crying over his imminent loss. Seeing his granddaughter feeling unwell, the butler worriedly asks if she is okay, trying to help her recover. Suddenly invading the room, the girl with white hair leaves her butler completely unresponsive. Seeing little Bing-Tang crying in bed, the situation becomes even more tense and strange. Approaching to console the girl says that people cannot return once they leave, and that a happy life is the best comfort for her grandmother. And with a gentle smile, she assures that she is not a bad person, trying to calm the scared little girl. Then giving an order to her butler, the girl asks him to help the little girl with the expenses and funeral arrangements. But at that moment, our boy enters the room, shocked to see the scene that is happening there. With the girl with white hair comforting the girl, the unexpected presence of our protagonist makes everything even more confusing. Wondering why she's there, our boy can't believe the bizarre coincidence of their encounter. Suspicious, he wonders if she isn't there looking for him, already expecting the worst. Grabbing the girl to protect her, our proto shouts at the girl not to hurt the innocent little girl. Completely surprised, she stutters and asks if it's him, not believing she found him there like that. Seeing his reaction, little Bing-Tang says that the girl is not a bad person, and that he did not intend to hurt her. Demanding that our boy put the girl down, the girl accuses him of not being a good person for taking her jewelry. Explaining that he used the competition to win the aquamarine star, our proto leaves the girl completely speechless. Then pulling out a gun, the butler shouts at our boy not to be rude to his lady, ready to defend her. Placing herself in front of our boy, little Bing-Tang shouts not to hurt her big brother. Completely shocked by the girl's attitude, the girl with white hair and her butler are left without reaction. Ordering her servant to lower the weapon, the girl obeys without question, still surprised by the scene. Asking the little girl who that older brother is, the girl tries to understand the relationship between the two. Surprised by the revelation, she thinks she didn't know there was a good side to people like our boy. At this, a 10+ favorability heart appears, showing that perhaps she misjudged him. Then seeing the system notification, our proto is shocked to realize that she actually has a favorable impression of him. Introducing herself as Jian Chu-Chu, the girl extends her hand and apologizes for having offended him. Taking her hand in a firm grip, our boy introduces himself back, still holding the little girl on his lap. Completely excited, our proto wonders if it was because of the charisma he added earlier that it worked. Thinking to herself, the girl concludes that he doesn't seem to have a bad nature, but that he still needs to get the jewel back. Seeing how much he cares for the girl, Chu-Chu comes up with a plan to use the little girl to get closer and retrieve his relic. With a look of pity, she thinks that maybe she can help poor Bing-Tang by finding a solution for everyone. Surprised by the proposal, our boy asks with a stutter if she is really going to help the girl. Confirming his intention, Chu-Chu invites her to go to his estate, but our proto refuses, saying he can take care of her. Handing over the key to her house, our boy says she can take Bing-Tang to stay with him and pick her up when she feels relieved. Thinking that the proposal is not irrational, the boy reflects that it is not right to take the girl on his dangerous missions. Taking the key, he decides to spend the night with Bing-Tang so she can say goodbye to her grandmother calmly. Arriving at the mansion the next day, they are greeted by several maids lined up at the entrance. Seeing the little girl being taken away by one of the servants, our proto comments on the lively house, while Chu-Chu says that he considers them sisters. Suddenly a black and white cat rubs against his leg, catching our boy's attention. Asking if the cat is hers, the girl explains with a smile that it was a gift from her grandfather, and that he is not aggressive. Then, a new C-grade mission appears, sending our protagonist to investigate the black cat's secret and keep it safe. Surprised, the kid wonders what the origin of that animal is since it activated a new task in the system. But from afar, a laser sight focuses on our boy, while a capture plan begins to be put into action. And hidden in a tree, a sniper shoots with a sniper rifle, aiming directly at the cat. Then seeing a net flying towards you, the surprise attack is revealed, ready to capture the target. With an expression of pure fury, our prota perceives the danger and prepares to react to the attack. Grabbing the cat to protect it, the kid complains that the mission started too early, barely giving him time to think. Furious at the attack, Chu-Chu orders one of her maids to take Bing Tang into the lobby immediately. Running with the cat in his arms, our boy tries to lose his enemies, while the animal seems very calm. With Chu-Chu close behind, our prota yells at them to get away, but the chase remains intense. Giving the order to his henchmen, a man tells them to go after the cat and capture it, dead or alive. Once safely inside the mansion, our boy asks what the origin of that animal is, but the girl says she doesn't know. Seeing the enemies approaching, our protagonist prepares for the confrontation, knowing that they cannot escape. Realizing that all the henchmen are very strong, he concludes that the situation will be a bit problematic to resolve. At that exact moment, the daily login machine appears out of nowhere, indicating that it is time for a new draw. Excited, the kid realizes that as the machine cannot be seen by others, he can get items to deal with the situation. Giving a lame excuse, our little protege says he's just going to warm up his body and move his muscles. By pressing the button on the machine, he activates the draw, waiting for a reward that can help him. Seeing that he got smoke bombs, a pulse meter, and multi-purpose ointment, our boy is surprised by the new items. Analyzing the information, he discovers that the equipment can block vision, disable mechanical structures, and heal injuries. Celebrating good luck, our prota is super happy that everything looks good, leaving Chu-Chu completely confused by the scene. But suddenly a loud noise echoes through the room, indicating that someone is trying to force their way in. Desperate, one of the maids warns that the enemies are arriving and asks what they should do. Handing the cat to Chu-Chu, our boy tells her to hide and assures her that she will take care of the enemies alone. Invading the room with everything, the henchmen comment that he is good at hiding, but that they will finally capture him. Suddenly, a smoke bomb rolls across the floor, exploding and filling the room with a dense fog. Shocked by the tactic, the men are completely blind, without understanding what is happening. Seeing our boy running away with the cat, one of the henchmen shouts to the captain, warning him about the escape. Aiming through the smoke, the captain squeezes the trigger, trying to hit the target even without being able to see. But to his surprise, the weapon fails, causing him to shout at his subordinate, calling him useless. Realizing that their weapons don't work either, the men draw their knives, understanding that the kid has some tricks. With a satisfied smile, our prota celebrates that the pulse meter actually causes mechanical structures to fail. Advancing through the smoke, he feels confident to take advantage of the visual advantage and eliminate all enemies. Giving the order, the captain orders his men to follow him to finish off the boy, leaving one behind at the door. Coming out of nowhere, our little guy punches one of the henchmen in the face, knocking him out instantly. Shocked by the surprise attack, the other henchman screams in amazement, unable to react in time. With a victorious smile, the last man advances to attack, swearing that whoever dares to touch them is seeking their own death. Dodging the stab with a confident smile, our boy prepares for the final counterattack. Deactivating the pulse meter, our boy prepares for the completion of his plan. With a victorious smile, he points the gun and says that the enemies are too slow before shooting. Being hit squarely by the shots, the two henchmen fall to the ground, screaming in pain from the surprise attack. Fallen and confused, the captain wonders why the kid was able to use the gun without understanding his trick. Seeing the scene from afar, little Bing Tang calls out to her big brother, worried about the situation. Running to hug him, the girl asks if he's okay, and our prota assures her that he is, while Chu-Chu watches him. Seeing a call on his cell phone, our boy prepares for the next phase of the mission. Outside, the head of the henchmen worries about the delay, telling his men to go and see what happened. Then sending a message to Yezen, our prota asks her to find out the identities of the remaining enemies. But before he can react, one of the henchmen grabs him from behind, demanding that he hand over the cat. Threatening to strangle him, the man immobilizes him, while the weapon falls to the ground, out of their reach. Seeing the danger, our boy shouts for Chu-Chu to get the gun, while the little girl asks not to hurt her brother. Pointing the pistol at our protagonist's head, the villain threatens to shoot if she dares to get closer. Suddenly, the gun is thrown away, and the cat jumps out of the girl's arms, leaving everyone shocked. Seeing that the gun doesn't work, the henchman panics, while our boy shouts for Chu-Chu to shoot. Shooting without hesitation, Chu-Chu lands a clear shot on the last henchman, who is completely shocked by her action. Being hit squarely in the forehead, the man falls backwards, eliminated by the girl's precise shot. Seeing their subordinate fallen, the boss and the other henchmen don't know what to do, paralyzed by the scene. Concluding that where there is life, there is hope, the boss decides that the best option is to escape. Screaming to get back, the two run outside, trying to escape the dangerous situation as quickly as possible. Seeing the two running away, our boy says it's too late and they have more important things to do. With the cat on her lap, Chu-Chu agrees the animal must have some secret and that they need to find out what the enemies wanted. Suddenly, an orange light shines on the cat, making our protagonist wonder if that is a clue to quest. And to his surprise, the animal spits out a shiny golden sphere, leaving everyone even more confused. Suggesting that there is something wrong with the cat's leg, our boy proposes taking him to a veterinary hospital for an examination. Deciding that it's best to resolve this quickly, our protagonist says goodbye to Bing-Tang and prepares to leave with Choo-Choo. Arriving at the animal hospital, they prepare to finally discover the cat's secret. Inside, a veterinarian whistles while reading a magazine, completely distracted from what is happening. But upon hearing the door opening, the doctor turns around in fright, being taken by surprise by their arrival. Entering the office, our boy asks the doctor to do an ultrasound on his cat, ready to solve the mystery. Asking where the cat feels uncomfortable, the veterinarian approaches, ready to begin the examination. Explaining that he suspects something in the animal's body, our boy asks the doctor to do an ultrasound to get a better look. Arguing that if there was a foreign object, the cat would be sick, the doctor prepares to examine the animal. But when he feels the cat's body, he notices that the animal seems well behaved and doesn't appear to have anything wrong. Seeing something on the animal's leg, the veterinarian says he will need to cut it to see what it is clearly. Agreeing to the procedure, Choo-Choo authorizes the cutting, while our boy is shocked by the decision. With a sinister smile, the doctor takes out a scalpel and says he will take care of it, at their own expense. Suddenly, the energy around the vet transforms and he screams as a black shadow envelops him. Revealing its true form, the shadow materializes into a warrior with red eyes, ready to attack. Introducing himself with an evil smile, the samurai reveals that someone paid him a lot of money to take that cat. And with a deadly look, he stares at the two, preparing for the battle that is about to begin. Advancing with sword in hand, the warrior shouts that he is also there to take their lives. Shielding Choo-Choo with his own body, our boy shouts for her to get the cat first as blood gushes from his arm. Completely shocked by the scene, girl remains unresponsive, paralyzed by the sudden and brutal attack. With an expression of pure determination, our prota assures him that everything is fine and that he can handle this guy alone. Holding the cat, Choo-Choo asks our boy to wait and promises to come back soon. But without giving her time to escape, the samurai advances and attacks our prota, who blocks the sword with his hands. Advancing with a quick swing, the warrior tries to cut our boy with his katana, showing off his skill. But suddenly moving away, the enemy turns and prepares for a new attack, leaving our little protege on alert. Jumping over our boy, the samurai focuses his attack on Choo-Choo, shouting that he is going to finish her. But acting faster, our little protege pulls out a copied gun and shoots the warrior in the back. Being hit squarely by the shot, the enemy falls to the ground, complaining about the sneak attack that took him by surprise. However, with an evil smile on his face, the samurai turns his head and says that he actually liked that. Completely shocked that he survived the gunshot, our boy can't believe what he's seeing. Deducing then that the enemy must be wearing a bulletproof vest, the gun in his hand glows and crumbles. Standing up as if nothing had happened, the warrior says that the important thing is to catch the cat first, and that he will play with it later. Sensing that the situation is not good, our little protege desperately screams for Choo-Choo to get away as quickly as possible. Jumping towards her once again, the enemy demands that she let go of the cat, or he will leave her lifeless. In the blink of an eye, the warrior advances and lands a precise blow, cutting the girl's cape with his blade. But to everyone's surprise, the attack simply passes through her, with the samurai appearing right behind. Throwing the cat into the air, Choo-Choo shouts for our boy to catch it, creating a perfect distraction. Grabbing the animal in the air, our prota holds it tightly, while the cat meows in fear. Praising the girl's good move, our boy gives a thumbs up, while her cape covers the samurai's face. Taking advantage of the chance, the kid uses his gloves to create a perfect copy of the cat, thinking about the opportunity. Shouting for Choo-Choo to run, our little protege runs away with both versions of the animal, while the enemy swears he will finish him off. Screaming in rage, the samurai swears that he will slice his enemies into 10,000 pieces, wielding his sword with a deadly glare. But suddenly, a cute kitten rubs against his leg, meowing and leaving the warrior completely confused by the interruption. Taking the animal on his lap, the man says with a sinister smile that despite everything, today is the day of their death. But to his surprise, the cat explodes in a giant cloud of smoke, revealing it to be an unexpected trap. Completely covered in smoke, the samurai is furious at having been fooled by such a simple magic trick. Jumping to attack, he swears that he won't be human if he can't eliminate them and throws 2 huge daggers. Seeing the weapons coming towards him, our boy grits his teeth, determined not to let that happen. Shouting for Choo-Choo to be careful, our prota pushes her away from danger, shielding her with his own body. Then, the boy ends up falling on top of her in a very embarrassing pose, with the two of them very close on the floor. Totally embarrassed, our boy asks if she is okay, and the girl replies yes, still blushing about the situation. However, their moment is interrupted when a vase breaks against the wall, making a huge noise. Looking at the noise, they see the samurai pinned to the wall by several daggers, completely surprised by the attack. And before he could react, blood gushes from his neck, showing that he has been struck by a fatal blow. Still on the ground with Choo-Choo, our protagonist looks at the mysterious figure and is shocked to recognize her, calling out Yeezy's name. Revealing herself, the killer appears with a knife in her hand, saying that the puppy is really looking for its own death. Screaming furiously, Yezen orders our boy to get away from that woman immediately. Jumping away, our prota tries to explain himself, saying that it wasn't on purpose and that it was an accident. Seeing their interaction, Choo asks if he knows the newcomer, and the kid explains that he asked her for help with the invaders. Walking towards them, the killer approaches with firm steps, ready to resolve the situation. Directly questioning the white-haired girl, Yizin asks if her grandfather's real name is Jian Haishun, leaving the girl shocked. Explaining that there is no information in her territory that she cannot find, the assassin reveals that she was investigating the recent increase in mercenaries. Saying that she had no clue, Yizin says that she only understood everything after our boy sent her the photo. Revealing the big secret, she explains that the girl's grandfather was actually a famous treasure hunter, and that the cat has a secret left behind by him. Then asking to borrow the dagger to use for the first time, our boy leaves the two girls completely confused. Desperate with his attitude, the two try to stop him, with Choo shouting that he is being cruel, while Yizin tells the puppy to stop. Ensuring you don't need to worry, our proto shows you a multi-purpose ointment that can heal injuries and pain quickly. Very carefully, the boy uses the dagger to remove a metal key from inside the cat's leg, arguing that long pain is worse than short pain. While Yizin comments that fortunately the animal is fine, Choo warns that if something happened, our boy would be in trouble, but he assures that he would do it when he was sure. Showing the key he took out, our boy explains that he saw the object but doesn't know what it is for. Reasoning that it has to do with the quest, the kid puts on his sunglasses, thinking that maybe he will find other clues with them. Celebrating that he was right, a bright beam of light appears in the city, proving our boy's theory. Confirming his suspicion, our proto tells Yezin that he has finally found a clue for the mission. Then asking Choo to take them to Limian Mountain, our boy makes the killer completely furious because he had fun with another woman. Driving like a crazy person, the killer makes a car skid, and our protagonist screams desperately for her to put away the dagger. Continuing their journey along the winding mountain road, the three head towards their goal. Finally stopping the car, Choo announces that they have arrived, and our little protégé suggests that they walk so as not to scare anyone nearby. Inside a tent, the boss asks how the mission went, and his henchman assures him that the specialist will bring the key soon. Observing the place from afar, our boy confirms with Yizin that the key has something to do with that place, but that it appears to be well guarded. Making fun of the situation, the killer says that they are just a few soldiers, while our protagonist is surprised by the great influence of the girl's grandfather.